Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome back to the Rock Nerd Radio Show here on YouTube. In today's episode, we are taking a much overdue look at Megatronus, otherwise known as the Fallen.
Come geek out with us on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.
So here's Megatronus, otherwise known as the Fallen. I'll probably call him the Fallen for the rest of this review. In his vehicle mode, it is a Cybertronian tank. I do have some of his other accessories attached to the tank mode right now, namely this blade here, and everything does pop off. You know, they have the 3mm ports that pops on to different parts of the tank. There is a spear over here. I'm just going to pop this off, and the flame effects are on here as well. And all of these just pop off. You can put these wherever you want. I just kind of stuck them there. But just to show you his tank mode without any other bits of distractions. There we go. This is what it looks like. This is a leader class figure, so this will run you that $55 price tag that they charge for leader class figures now. But it looks like a very, very cool tank mode. Lots of neat purples and yellows in it. Lots of nice silvers and blacks. Lots of points on it. It looks very cool. Just kind of spinning it around. You can see all the different colors on there. And, you know, the light, I think, picks it up very well. Or at least my light is picking up everything very well. And it looks very cool. One of the coolest things about this tank mode is that the turret, you can get the whole thing to raise because this part is, they're his arms. So you can get the whole thing to raise. You can also just get the gun to raise if you want. It's a little easier to just raise the gun, but it also, everything will rotate as well, so you do have pretty decent rotation for the tank barrel, and it will rotate, as you can see, a full 360. So that is a really, really cool feature, and I think it looks pretty menacing. You know, I think a lot of people were afraid this was going to be how Studio Series Megatron looked, and similar tank mode to a degree, but this is not just, you know, the Studio Series 86 Megatron is not a repaint of the Fallen here, which I think is really cool. But I never have a lot to say about my Transformers in their vehicle mode because I don't display things in vehicle mode. I display my guys in robot mode. So we will transform it. Just want to point out the Fallen's prime insignia there on the gun barrel of the tank. So that is something to see. But anyway, I think it is time to transform this guy. Let's get to it. And here is the Fallen in his robot mode. I do apologize, during the transformation I forgot to fold these bits back into the body, but they're there now. So you know, the chest compression of this is a little weird to get it all together. But looking at the Fallen in his robot mode, again, some nice purples and blacks and these nice yellow highlights. You know, this is a character whose energon supposedly burns so hot that it's like he's always on fire, which those flame effects we'll look at in a few moments. But this looks really cool to me in person, and this was probably the figure I was most excited for at the start of for the start of this year. You know, when they showed this off initially, I was very, very excited. I still have somewhere in a box somewhere the only other comic version of the Fallen we've ever gotten, which was a titanium figure, and it does not look nearly as cool as this version of the Fallen. So I really, really like this figure. Just to kind of bring it in, take a nice look at that head sculpt, and it just looks menacing and evil, and, you know, it has that nice deep Decepticon purple to it with the yellow eyes and mouthpiece. Looking at the chest, we have some very nice sculpt work in there, as well as the paint detail. moving down to the rest of the body. And the legs, you know, we have some nice silvers there. They're, you know, without the light on them, they almost look black, but when the light hits it, you can see the gray on it. And just, you know, the bottom part of the legs, the feet, to me, just look phenomenal. And, you know, just even, again, the arms, some peg holes there for weapon storage, cannon storage. We do have weapons on each shoulder. We have a missile launcher here, and this will rotate, but you rotate it backwards, probably doesn't look too good. So I have it like this in the front of the arm, just like that. There's another cannon here. This one also rotates and can kind of go sideways. I tend to keep it, the official transformation does say like that, so there we go. The back of the figure, pretty clean robot mode, you know, not a whole lot of transformation, kibble hanging out. Obviously, tank treads here, but like that just kind of looks like a regular backpack to me. So I am fully on board with that. And talking about the character's articulation, we will start at the head. The head is on a ball joint, so there is a lot of wiggle, waggle, up, down, left, right with it. It can spin all the way around if you want it to, and then come back. But you do have a little bit of up and down movement there. At the torso, so there's no like ab crunch or anything, but we do have full torso rotation, nothing getting in the way of his body spinning completely around. Love the arms, because each arm will spin all the way around and will go up just like that. But there's also, because of transformation, like some additional movement on this arm. So while you can get your regular, you know, around, like I said, there's also like this whole joint that you can play with, and you can kind of, you know, bring this arm really far forward, you know, even if it's just kind of acting like a butterfly joint, you can go back with it too. So you can really get the Fallen in some dynamic poses. At the elbow, we're going to have, first off, full rotation, and then a little more than 90-degree bend. The hand is also on a ball joint, so there's some nice wiggle. Can I focus on that? There we go. There's some nice wiggle and waggle in there. Not much of the up and down, but it will rotate the hand. And then what I absolutely love is that the hand will open. So for his spear weapon, you don't have to like take it apart and jam it in a C-grip hand. You can open the hand, put the weapon into the slot, close the hand, and that is the same on both arms. So really, really love the look of that. Just think it moves phenomenally. Moving down to the legs. The legs will kick forward that much. They will kick back that much. The legs will kick out. You do have to move these little skirt pieces, but they will move fully, almost fully out. So you can do a pretty good Van Damme. Bringing it down. At the thigh, we'll get a little bit of rotation, but because of the transformation joints and everything, it kind of stops at some point. The more you kind of kick the leg out, the more you can actually spin the thigh. So like as you see, when it's like almost fully extended out, you can fully spin it around, which is pretty cool. There is rotation at the knee, so you can rotate the entire lower leg, knee bend like that. And then at the foot, we do have back and forth. It goes to a certain point because of transformation, but then we do also have ankle rockers as well. So you can get the Fallen into some pretty dynamic poses, like I said, really utilizing these joints and kind of making him look somewhat menacing. Now, he does look menacing like this. He's going to look a lot more menacing with his weapons. So let's talk about the spear and the sword. Yeah, these are some, looking at the spear first, nicely detailed, painted in purple and silver, soft plastic, so just be careful where you store it. But the spear itself looks really cool, and like I said, you can easily put this in his hand just by opening a hand, shoving it in. There we go. So I did shove it in. I was trying to do too high up on the spear. It definitely works better on this lower part, smaller handle there. So he can hold the spear there. And then looking at the sword, we do have a nice, maybe more of a dagger than a sword, but same thing. You can have him hold this in another hand, and it looks pretty darn menacing. Even just these two weapons make the Fallen look pretty evil, pretty cool. But here's the thing. I like to keep his right arm free. We'll get there in a minute. This sword does have a peg hole at the bottom, so you can connect it to the spear just like this. And now you have a double-bladed weapon that the Fallen can wield. You know, you have the spear combined with the sword. I think it looks pretty cool, and it almost becomes like more of a staff now. You know, he has this double-sided weapon that he can inflict some real damage on. But let's talk about my favorite weapon that Megatronus has here. It is his cannon. Now, I have this in the configuration from the vehicle mode still. In order to convert it, there's a little peg right there in the back. Come on, focus. There we go. And you're just going to flip that forward. And then you're going to take the assembly for it. You're going to want to take this piece and pull it back, and it will collapse onto itself. Actually, was that the way I had it? Hang on a second. So here's the thing. There's this piece, the whole barrel that I've been keeping on. I think the instructions say you're supposed to take it off. I do like that barrel on. But anyway, I think in vehicle mode, it is supposed to be like this. It is supposed to be a bit of a longer cannon. And I don't think I showed that properly before. So now it is a longer cannon. So I definitely didn't have that transform right before. When you transform it, you actually collapse the whole thing back. And the instructions say that this is the cannon. This is an extra piece that you can stick wherever you want. You know what, though? I like it on the cannon because it does make it look a little longer, a little more Megatron-y, if you will. So I'm going to stick the cannon on his arm. And now we do have this big, beefy cannon that Megatronus would definitely use for some not necessarily good purposes. I believe it's called the Requiem Blaster, and it is one of the relics of the 13 Primes. And apparently there's going to be some type of payoff with all the Primes relics that at some point, I don't know if there's going to be something we can merge them all together in some way, but it should look kind of cool. The other effects, their weapons that this guy has, the other accessories, are the flame effects, and there are these two on the back. Now, like I said, they say his energon burns so hot, it's like he's always on fire. Well, you can use these effects to kind of show that. So I like to take these little ones and stick them on his back, so it looks like there are flames coming off of his back. And then the larger ones, I can stick on his shoulders. Just make sure. They're not necessarily lined up for certain shoulders, but they definitely fit better. Some of the flame effects on other one shoulder versus the other. So there is that to note. But there we go. Now we have this flaming terror of Cybertron. I love the way this thing looks. Like I said, it was the figure I was most hyped for when they started announcing these figures. And it just looks so awesome to me. Looks so flippin' evil. Just for a comparison, I did talk about Prima already. Here is Prima next to the Fallen, and Prima's standing more at a straight stance. The Fallen, a little bent in his stance right now. His legs a little bent, but they do look good together. I like how this is kind of building out a pantheon of Cybertronian gods, if you will, different shapes, different sizes. I do have Solus Prime as well, who I haven't reviewed yet, but just to show you what she looks like with this crew. There we go. So being a deluxe, she does look significantly smaller than these other ones, especially when you jump from a deluxe to a leader. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. We're going to talk about this one in an upcoming review. I do think she looks really good, though. So all in all, like I said, I was really looking forward to this figure, and he did not disappoint. He is my favorite bad guy colors, some awesome blacks and purples and grays. And really, I think just an awesome addition to your collection. I do want to apologize. I know I'm a little behind in getting this review out, but I still wanted to talk about him on camera. Just a really fun figure. Something that I can't wait to kind of permanently put on my shelf. And he'll definitely be a presence on my 13 Prime shelf. That is for sure. But until then, hey, let me know what you think of this figure. Did you pick up the Fallen? Are you planning on picking him up? And most importantly, what do you think of him? I would love to hear your ideas and your thoughts and whatever else you have to say about this. Remember, Before we wrap up, you can always check out the Rock Nerd Radio Show podcast. It is a weekly podcast hosted by me and my good friend Vinny. He's my good friend and co-host, and sometimes we have other guests on that show too. We talk about all types of different pop culture things. There's bound to be something on there that you are bound to enjoy. So until then, I want to thank you for tuning in, and I've been Dan, that's been The Fallen, you've all been pretty awesome. I'll see you around.